It's been the best system in this country from what we've been indoctrinated to believe, but historically says different. All around the world, there's never been, oh, you have to get married and have a piece of paper and just have this and this. It's not been like that around the world.
Yeah, there's a
Different
lot. There's a lot.
tribes, different civilizations. They've had multiple wives, multiple kids here and there with different things.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things
It's
that
not
make
in
up
our
the
nature.
country.
It's not in our nature to force monogamy. It goes against our nature
Okay,
historically.
so if you want to bring up the nature argument, there's a lot of things within our nature that we should be wise enough to realize we don't want to act on those natures. So the question should be, what's the ideal for a functioning society and for the future of the nation? Is it hookup culture? Is it having 5 wives? Is it abandoning children and having high amounts of fatherlessness? What's the consequences of that? What's the consequence of not having good parents, good fathers, good mothers? There's a lot of
No, no,
there's a
no.
lot of
Right. I,
variables I look
I,
at.
I understand in the constructs of this society in this country.
Oh, come
Yes,
on.
I agree with you. The nuclear family is more ideal to have and to follow, of course. But that's how society's been set up from 100 years ago or more to do that. But I'm saying historically, we're going against nature to be
Yeah,
monogamous.
yeah,
Just like you,
100%.
just like if we wanted to move the goalposts and say, well, are we going against our nature to not be provider and the leader of our household and all that stuff?
Right.
Then people they ain't gonna like that.
Yeah. No, there's some things that's within our nature that we should absolutely leverage and embrace. And then there's other things within our nature that when we look at the long-term and short-term consequences, we can say that those things are not good for a functional society, a virtuous society, I'm with you, bro, because I study a lot of the Roman Empire, the ancient Greek Empire, and even then, you do see the men being promiscuous, fucking around, and the wives realize that that's how the men are, and they were okay with that. So I
Damn
understand
right
the
they were okay.
historical
I
stuff.
mean that's why we had the wife, the queen, right? And then you had the concubines, a mistress,
Yep.
and then the servants and slaves or whatever. So it's like these concepts aren't brand new, world global scale. But
Bruh.
some
No.
people they act brand new, and they think, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong. Now I gotta give you pushback on some what you said about Kevin Samuels and Andrew Tate, because said knows I don't like when people come up here talking facts that they may not know all the way or give full context or accurate depictions of what somebody has said. So let's just leave. Okay, Kevin and Tate. Let's just put them together, right? Generally speaking, right? Paraphrasing. They never said it's okay for just men to just go out there, willy nilly, spread your dick around and just fuck whatever you want and do whatever and have kids and be ignorant. They never said that. Now, if you have the capacity and you're a man of value, you have financial status and security, and you're able to do that, and that's at your will, you choose that. You have those options at your disposal if you want to take them. He's never said, I support men cheating. He's always said it's men exercising their options. And most of the time, these women know that when they're dealing with the high value man, because they will accept things from a high value man that they won't accept from a low value man, because they know it's rare of the high value guy. So they're like, damn, you know what? There ain't a lot of these guys over here. I like what he rolling with. I know that he can protect me and he got this lifestyle for me. Woo, 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 all this generational wealth, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to stick with this. And you know what? Long as he's not embarrassing me with no side babies, ain't giving me no STDs, and is not embarrassing me in public and keep me discreet, I'm going to roll with it. And they know better, and they do that. But again, I agree with you. Average guys or guys that are in a space financially to be out here just fucking making random babies with random women, that is going to, like Soonie said, that is going to add degenerate culture. It's going to be degenerate outcomes and results. And it's not going to help nothing. I agree with that. Men shouldn't be doing that in the majority because most men are average
Yeah,
statistically.
and I've heard that. I mean, and that's historically backed as well. When you got people with extreme amount of wealth, kings of empires, that have a multitude of wives and sleep around and all that. I mean, look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a perfect example of that. This guy's got kids all over the place with multiple different women, and he's the wealthiest man on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an example. But again, the question should be what is the standard? What should be the standard for a proper functioning society?
I mean, it's hard when we live in the United States. What else are we going to go off of and say, well, I want to go by this country's of standards? It's almost biased where we're going to be, well, we should go by our country's standards. So it's like the question you're asking, it's kind of biased.
You don't have to go by any type of, it's simply, I'm talking about the ideas. I said, I don't care about the standard or what was done in the past. It's simply what should be the virtuous standard of how we should function as people in a modern day society, knowing the consequences of certain behaviors statistically, looking at the consequences of certain things, of behaviors like fatherlessness, right? Things like this, divorce and the consequences of that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that there's a lot of stuff that we can observe now with 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years of historical evidence that we can come to a conclusion and say, okay, this should be the ideal.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it,
So looking at Hida said, I saw her comment. She says polyamorous will be the thing in the next 10 years, and I've heard multiple things in different spaces. And if you go into it, you can kind of understand why. Because if the economy goes the way it goes, society goes the way it goes, you'll see more women that are going to be, I don't want to say desperate, but in a place of more. It's going to be desperate times, and they're going to be more willing to do certain things that they weren't willing to do because the shit that they thought was waiting for them at the end of the rainbow, it ain't there, So, and they're going to start realizing, I can't hold shit on my own. I can't take care of myself. I'm not in the top 9% of women in this country making $75,000 or more in this country. How am I going to support myself as I get older? So they're going to be willing to exercise different things, like maybe being polyamorous or polygamy and all this stuff, and saying, you know what, maybe I can get with someone in this community to share a guy, and we can live and prosper together if that works out. And people are going to be living together and shacking up more without, like, the things I speak on for myself, and not signing a legal document to be married, but still encompassing what a marriage is value-wise, just not legally. People are going to be doing that. There's going to be a lot of single women being roommates, with cats and dogs and boxed wine and, and toys with batteries. You know what I'm saying?
Soonie, what are you doing over there?
Playing Fruit Ninja.
Playing 2K.
I see.
I'm listening, I can hear everything.
That's that femininity right there. 2K. What do y'all think? So, do you think what he just said is true? Polygamy and polyamory and stuff?
I'm gonna say no, just because the concept of our country is built on so-called Christian values, and that alone would prevent that, because they speak against it, right? And I agree with you, because it's something that's foreign to us. We didn't grow up that way, so we reject it because we see it in other cultures and we think it's foul, but other cultures seem to do it and they're fine. Now, I'm not saying that fellas that would be the life for me, because I only want one woman. Right.
No man wants just one woman, but I get you.
No, I'm good with just one. I mean, you can only fill up one hole at a time.
Stop it.
What do you mean by that when you said no man only wants one woman? Can you hear me?
Hmm?
I was asking Lopez what he means by that.
Oh, that no man wants one woman for the rest of his life? Because again, I feel like
Yeah.
it goes against our nature as a man to say we just want one woman to be monogamous with the rest of our life. That, to me,
Are you speaking in absolutes, or is this your opinion?
no, it's my opinion, but I feel this is our I don't know what the right word is, or ornate nature. I don't know. This is our nature to just do that.
Yeah, I disagree.
Where in history
What's giving you that, though?
is
Like,
that where in history around the world is that practiced monogamy? But
it's
historically,
practiced in many
globally,
parts of the world.
and historically through time, where monogamy is the goal, to just be with one partner for the rest of their lives.
It's
We're the only
how has that
animals
not
that
been
do
in
that.
practice? If that wasn't in practice, then how are people still participating in monogamous relationships today? Like, that doesn't
It's
make
just
any
like
sense.
any regime or government or society where it's structured that way to where they can benefit from doing so.
Well,
So
I'm
if
gonna
we've
ask you
been
a
in,
question.
Structure.
I'm gonna
What?
ask you a question, Lopez, and you
just
don't.
said this country was built on Christian values, right?
But
So
This has
the
nothing
whole,
to do with Christianity. Like, let's
no,
leave religion out of it. You're speaking in absolutes, saying that no man wants to just be with one woman. No one
ideally in
can
the
do that.
majority,
I can't
in
even
the
speak in
majority,
absolutes like that.
in the majority, an absolute in the majority, yes. No man just wants to be with one woman the rest of
That's
his life.
insane.
I'm gonna ask a
That is an
question, and
insane thought
Lopez, you
pattern.
don't have to answer this if you want. If you were to get married, and you married the woman you love, do you believe that you would still want to be with other women? Not that you would, but you think that you would still want to be with other women based on what you just said.
Yes, every man would still want to, but we would make the decision as a mature man or as being committed to our partner not to. But our mind and our flesh would still want to. That's the difference I'm saying. I don't know if it's semantics or not. Well, yes, we would want to. Our flesh
I
would
just don't.
want to. We'd be tempted
It's
to. It's
bothering
not
me how
just
you're speaking in absolutes. That's absurd.
well, that's a red pill some people don't want to take. If you want to just say, oh, people that are married and happy, they don't think like that. Okay, sure.
Harold,
Yeah.
you still with this? What are your thoughts? I don't know if you're married or you're single, but if
No.
you are
Can
not,
we get some
if
married
you
men on here?
if
Look,
you
that's
were
what I'm saying.
married,
You
would
ask the married folks, they're not gonna say what I'm saying. They're gonna give the
do
blue
you
pill
think that
speech.
you think
Yeah.
that
So,
you,
hey,
go ahead.
homeboy that's talking about the nature stuff. You single?
Yeah, I'm not married.
Okay. How many girls you got in your rotation right now?
In my rotation,
Talking about you talking about living this promiscuous life and being with multiple women. How many girls you got in your rotation right now living that promiscuous life?
well, let me say this because I've told Mitch the same thing. This ain't my other account, but I'll even give the same disclaimer on this account. This isn't about me or people coming on asking personal details about my life. I've shared things with these two, Said and Soonie, and they know some things already. But as far as strangers coming on trying to interrogate me on personal stuff that's irrelevant, I don't do that. But you can ask whatever you want. I'm not going to give you
All
an
right.
answer.
Let me ask it in a different way.
You might have to.
What percentage of men are living have a multitude of options?
Not a lot of men. I already said that earlier in the chat.
All right,
Most men aren't having sex like that, and they don't have a rotation of women. I agree with you.
okay, good. So how does that go in line with them being in line with their nature? Yeah, are they going with their nature or against their nature because they can't have access to all these women?
Exactly. It's just like a woman saying, I'm single by choice. Well, if no one's knocking at your door, is it really your choice? Just like Suni said earlier. So it's the same thing with men. Whether they're getting sex or access to it or not, if they were to get it, that's like saying, I'm waiting to have sex. Most people, in absolute, in the majority, are waiting to have sex and just have sex with one person the rest of their lives. That's bananas. Who in the majority would believe that if we polled everybody in this country and they said, yes, if you could wait to have sex with one person in your life for the rest of your life, that's what you would do?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
If y'all want to believe it, go ahead.
Say that question again.
That in the majority, if we could magically poll everyone in the United States, that most people would prefer to just be with one person until they got married for the rest of their life and not experience nobody else, that they would do it. I disagree.
Well, your fair is kind of. I mean, your question is kind of disingenuous because we live in a society where lifestyles such as mine or other people is not promoted anymore. So you're asking a question that you already have the answer to.
Well, it's just like you asked me about absolutes and the majority. That's what I'm saying. So when you initially asked me,
Well,
do most men want to be with other women? Yes, men do want to be with other women. Whether they can get it or not is a different story. Whether they have access
you
to it
didn't
is
say
another
most.
story.
You said every, which is why I called you out on the absolutes because you didn't say most. You said every.
Come on, Soonie. You know me better. If we're doing semantics, that's fine. But yes, most men, I feel, whether they can do it or not, or they have the choice to, they still think about it in their head. You can't sit there and say a man is weak in his flesh, right? And says, I've never thought about being with another woman. I would never get tempted by another woman or would ever pursue this. Anything can happen. We're all capable of doing anything. Killing someone, being intimate with someone, doing this or that crime. We're all capable of doing these things. So it's foolish for me for anyone to say a man, whether you're with a relationship or married, to say, I've never thought about being with anybody else. I never would want to. That's bullshit. That's not how men are programmed.
I just don't agree with that. I don't.
And that's fine. As a woman, you could do that, But as men, I
This
think
has
that are
nothing to
honest
do
with
with
each
me
other.
being a woman. I'm
It
married
does.
to a man.
It does.
No, it's not. Hold on.
That's
Let me
anecdotal.
finish. No, it's not. It's anecdotal, but just like you have observational discernment, it's all about who you're surrounded by. If I surround myself with people who speak differently than you, that's a perception. That's a reality. That is an indication that there are some men that don't necessarily think the way you do, and it has nothing to do with me being a woman. That's a straw man. It has nothing to do with anything.
No, I already know most men don't think the way I do because it's going to crumble everything that they were thought up to think, and they're indoctrinated with to believe and all that stuff. So why would I don't expect most men to agree with me and side with me. I say that all the time.
Why are men who don't carry your line of thought indoctrinated?
You can use whatever word you want. I say that because that's how society has told us what we should do. We're supposed to do this.
But what about
just
the
like
men
women are
who
told
don't adhere to society, though? Like, what about those men who don't adhere to society, don't care about what society is promoting? They're their own man, they're high value men, but they just don't think like you.
If men, as you're saying, are not adhering to society and stuff like that, would it be a fair assumption to say that maybe those men are red pill?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's a 50-50,
Most
sure.
likely, I say most likely, but I mean, if we're gonna keep it real and say they don't care what anyone thinks, they don't care about what society tells them how they should act and think, group think, all that stuff, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be red pill. But if you want to say 50-50, whatever,
I mean, I'm being realistic.
Yeah.
I can't prescribe a red pill to everyone. No.
Right. No, I think of it like, and I'm not trying to do the religious thing, but when people say, "Oh, obviously I don't want to sin. I don't want to sin. I don't want to do this," right? But an adult is gonna sin. They're gonna slip up. They're gonna do this. Oh, I didn't want to smoke a cigarette. I did. I drank, or oh, I had an affair, or I did this vice. Whatever vice it is, we slip up and do it. So that's what the example I use in my head, thinking, well, no man, if you're in a committed relationship or marriage, oh, I love you, baby. Yeah, I love you. You're the only one I want to be with the rest of my life. Blah, blah, blah. Mother my kids. But that does not mean they still don't think about that other thing, that sin, where they can slip up and they do want that, or they would get away with it if they could, and nobody would find out if they could get away with it in the dark. They would do it.
I think I agree with part of what you're saying, but I think some of it has to do, all of it has to do with type of man you're dealing with, right? And so there are also men, like you alluded to earlier, there are men that can't get women. So a lot of these women, in my opinion, they make these guys lucky, meaning I think there are a bunch of women that date down if you look at them, and then the guy they're with is probably not as attractive or whatever. He probably can't get any other women. That dude there is not thinking about messing with any other women because that's the best he can do. You know what I mean? So his options to where maybe someone like yourself, where you have more options, you have more women that are attracted to you or whatever, your mind, I'm not saying you would, but your mind may tend to wander, not saying that you would see that through, you or Howard, but I think, is it Chris Rock who says you're only as faithful as your options? Was that Chris Rock?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It sounds familiar.
But I think it's a similar psychology. So I think it's just dependent on the man, what he's experienced, and what he's able to get. Trust me, I got a friend, and he don't get no women, and I can guarantee you, if he gets one that likes him, he's gonna be good right there. He ain't gonna be thinking about nothing else. Trust me.
Yeah, exactly, because he don't have that experience. I agree with you. There are gonna be men like that, and they're gonna be fucking whooped, and she's gonna control him and most likely dominate him, and she's gonna be above him because he's never had anything else. But I guarantee you what, he never did. But guess what? I bet she did. I bet she had way more than he ever did. And that's a lot of and no one wants to talk about that. See, no one wants to talk about the woman, what they coming with, and the experience they have. But because again, they have access to sex, so it's easy for them. Like we talked about earlier, that are below average or average women, they're having sex with guys around their pool, and then some above too. I don't know why. Again, why are these guys fucking with these average chicks and wildebeest and ratchet thoughts and all that? Why are they messing with them, right? So they think because they can get that, they have this expectation of entitlement, what they desire and what they can get. So it's easy for them to have sex, and that's why men, I don't want to say are struggling, but they are struggling in order to get these things. And that's why me and Soonie, we've had lives where people come on and say something about me, and I'm like, look, they're telling on themselves. They say, oh, he's just hurt. He can't get pussy. He can't get booty. And they're telling themselves. The women are basically saying that's their worth. That's their value. A man can't get pussy or get, women in this and this. So in order for him to do that, that's the value that they see in him. So they telling themselves by saying a man that can get pussy and can get women, that's a value that they see in a man. And that's why these women, like said earlier, even said himself, these women that he messed with, they make bad choices in those brothers that they would maybe sleep with. Right, Said? Remember you said that? It's the same, because in a woman's mind, that's just how they're programmed. They see a man that can, the whole analogy of the lock and key, a man that has the key that can open up many locks, that is a prize. A key that can open up many locks, that's something to be looked at. Like, dang, wow, look at this key. It's a magic key, can open up all these locks. And that's why women low-key like it, whether they want to admit it or not. A man that can get other women. Women that want a man that has married and in a relationship and is committed or something like that. They like the play. They like the bad boy because they want that chaos and uncertainty. They want something they can't tame because it's a challenge for them. They want to tame it.
Harold?
Yeah, listen, I've been down that rabbit hole. I mean, I got friends that are into the whole POA, POA rabbit hole. They do cold approach, and they got a rotation of 20 girls, and they got a bunch of news being sent to them 24/7. I've been down that rabbit hole. The thing I do agree with Kevin Samuels and Andrew Tate is, and brother right here, is that all men definitely have to be high value to the best that they can be, and redefine themselves in a way where they're not low value. They're not people that look at porn all day, live in mom's basement, makes $40,000, 40-year-old working at McDonald's.
Yeah,
so
they call it incels.
This is where I agree that that community is attempting to lift up the standard of men, especially in that caliber of men that are low value, that are incels. I 100% agree that we should definitely lift up the men that we have today. They're fat, they're lazy, they can't communicate, they're socially awkward, they're unhealthy, and same thing with women. Okay, but again, this is, and those are all true. If those are all true, and we know that all these things, these are all lifestyles that we can live, the question should be then, what is the ideal and what should be the standard? Okay, because we live in a society today that you can just abort your kids and have 20 children, yada yada yada. I got friends that do that too. All they do is travel, fuck girls, and abort and brag about having 15 kids that have been aborted, and they think that that's funny and whatever. And I'm like, okay, should that be the standard? And then I ask myself too. And then let me ask you this question real quick. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of marriage and a relationship in your eyes?
Which one, a marriage or a relationship?
Let's go any type of monogamous relationship. What is the purpose of it? What is the purpose of men being with women? It's simply because we're horny and want to fuck?
It's hard to give an answer. It depends where you're coming from, but I could just say a cluster of things to where, let's say a marriage, right? Some would give an answer to say, multiply, right? We're supposed to multiply and have a legacy, you know, and they want to leave a legacy for the, you know, and have a kids and all that and family and unity. Some would say it's security, you know, they get married and it's an arrangement. It's a business deal. Just like Trump and Melania. You think she's in love with him? No, that shit's a fucking business deal, man. Just like Beyonce and Jay-Z. It's a business deal. So people do it for security and that, you know, being taken care of. You know, they say, dang, I don't want to have another baby daddy, so they stick with one, and they say whether it's settling or not, they want that security blanket. So to me, that's what in a nutshell it is that most people in America get married for. The ham and eggs, you know.
Let me get more specific. What is the purpose of women to men? What is it? What do men get from women?
What do they get now, or what they should get?
No, man.
I mean, they should get a helpmate. They should get a helpmate and a support system, and a nurturing woman that is there to, if they have kids, to take care of the household and raise the kids and teach them, the first learners of our children. But I don't know what you mean as far as what she should be giving him. I mean, I don't know if I'm the right guy to be answering what I think a woman should be giving a man.
Me personally, I'm looking for a companion, like just companionship.
Man,
I think like obviously
I want a companion. I'll get a pet.
You know, I can do all that myself. Yeah, my damn, as much as I love my dog, man, he couldn't talk back. You know, someone that I can go to the gym with, someone that I can share experience with, and you know and give me the 3 S's. Isn't that what you taught me, Lopez? Is a sex sandwich silence?
Yeah. Yeah, giving a man peace. Giving a man peace.
That will allow me to have peace when needed. But I think the only thing that I always, when I look, Harold, you know, for a mate or dating or whatever, is just that companionship. If I don't have an expectation like a woman's going to make me happy because I bring happiness. I can't, you have to be happy yourself. I don't expect to meet a woman and then she completes me and all that other stuff. I don't.
So here's an interesting statistic, and all I'm doing is brainstorming with y'all. I'm not trying to conclude anything. Mm-hmm. They did a study on who performs the best, single men or married men, and they found out that married men outperform single men in corporate America and in the average job. Why do you think that is?
Who are you asking me?
Anybody.
I mean, it seems, let's just assume they're going to be more educated and intelligent, whatever career they go, whatever field they go into, where they're going to be financially stable in order to be that husband type man, the leader, the provider that can take care and sustain a family and kids and a wife. That makes sense, especially if they got 2 incomes in the household. That's how I see it. That's common sense. Of course, they're going to be more usually financially better off than a single man. I see that.
This kind of goes in line on that first question I asked you. What is the purpose of a woman? What she contributes to a man, and when you see one example of they outperform single men, generally speaking. You have exceptions to the rule, like Elon Musk, for example, they ain't married. But he is providing for his children, so he does have some responsibilities that gives him more of a motivation on why he wakes up every single day to do what he does. But when I look at that, I ask myself, okay, cool. Well, clearly men are more motivated whenever they're providing for their loved ones, their woman, and their children. So should we conclude also that should be the standard? That, in my opinion, affirms that the standard should be monogamy over polygamy for the majority of people, because they perform better, because they have dependencies.
When you say it like that, I have to agree, because statistically and economically, yes, that is the case. But what a lot of men in the red pill community are trying to say is they're trying to steer men away from that and saying, don't feel like you need to be a ham and egger, and do the whole cookie mold, marriage, settle. Because these men are trying to tell them, don't settle. Don't feel like you have to do that to survive, because economically they're more, what was the word you said? They're more what?
They outperform single men.
Yeah, because they outperformed if you're married. So you need to do that. You need to do this. That's the standard you need to do, bro. Keep working. Work your ass off. Work your 9 to 5. Do this. Support this woman and have these kids and do. That's not the cookie cutter case for every man, and not every man should be pushed in that direction to do that as a way to just quote unquote settle for some men. Because again, the men you mentioned that are socially awkward, fat, lazy, stupid, all that shit. There's other men like myself, red pill men, that are not that. So those men don't have to settle and say, hey, go get married. Do this. You need to look for a partner in order to survive. You need to do this in order to survive, like these other ones, so you could outperform too and be just like the Joneses and them. They don't got to do that. These men can go other ways. If they want to still date, I don't know what age they are, but if they want to go date and do that and have companionship, they can do that. And they're going to pick women that are on their accord and on their page and program, and they're going to act accordingly, and they're going to do whatever they want to do. If they want to lock it down and get married, then they can do that. If they want to travel and get your little passport and all that bullshit, they can do that too. But they don't have to succumb. You shouldn't have to push men and say, oh, what's the standard? You need to be in this standard, because that's what's better to outperform. I think that's not fair for some men, because they don't have to go in that direction. They can go the other way. If they don't want to get married, because marriage, like college, ain't for everybody. And it doesn't have to be. You can go the routes. You can have that companionship. Me and Seth have talked about this before. You can have companionship outside of a legal document.
So I'm going to ask you another question here. Do you think that there's a honorable duty of the nuclear family, or do you think people should live by their to maximize pleasure in their lives? This gets down to the philosophy of why people do what they do. Because
maximize pleasure? No, because for me, I think it comes down to the values and moral character of a man. For me, knowing that, hey, I don't want to be this is for me. I knew I wanted a child when I didn't want to be selfish no more.
Yeah.
When I cut the selfishness out, I said, I know I'm ready to be a parent now, and I want that, because it's not about me no more. It's not. So it's not about me indulging in these vices and being pleasurable, whatever you said. I'm not trying to do that. So I'm not going to sit there and suggest that's what society and men should just go for, whatever. It's a case-by-case basis, depending, like said, alluded to earlier, in the man's character, his morals, his beliefs. What's his foundation? What is his structure of things? What's his discipline like? Every man's different. I just can't put a standard on every man and blanket them like that. I can't.
No, and this is the one thing I do agree with: the red pill, men's empowerment, men going their own way. I've read their books like Rollo Tomasi, The Rational Man.
Rational Man.
The Way of the Superior Man by David Dieta. These are excellent books. But really what these guys are harping on, and you made this point, is to not settle for things simply because you're told to do so, right? Really the ideal, and this is the standard it should be, which is what the red pill community is doing, is raise your value as much as humanly possible. Then you will see how much options you can have. Then you can pick the best option from that standpoint, because you've earned it. versus a low value guy is going to have barely anybody, if nobody, and then they settle for these women with 3 to 4 kids that have been, you know, screwed around that have 50 body counts, and then they settle for that because they don't have any other options. That's where I agree with the red pill community. And I think that's really what you're harping on, is not to settle for a low value woman because you're low value.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because there's, and I'm not saying you, but whether there's jokesters out there or in this chat, they think they try to categorize like everything that we were talking about with those men that are incels and stuff. They try to categorize all the men like that, or anyone that says anything I'm saying. I laugh at it because I know better, but that's what they want to push out there to other people. Like, look, these are these people. They're misogynist. They're sexist. They're phobic this, phobic that. They're hurt, they're bitter, all that. Now, mind you, there are men that are that, clearly. We know that. But the ones that aren't, that are the other half of that percentage in the group, they don't like them too much, because these people know on this live with me. They know because they've seen it. The comments I get, the hate, because they get hurt. They get triggered. The conviction comes out. Their feelings get pressed. Their buttons get pressed because they know whoever I'm talking about or discussing, and I won't even say nothing, nobody specific, they get hurt. They holler. They're the hit dog hollering because they know better. They're talking about them. Women get pressed. Men get pressed because they're like, damn, is he talking about me? Am I that beta male? Am I that cook? Am I that simp? Am I the one that comes in with a cape always defending women and not holding them accountable? Am I a sucker? Am I tricking? Am I tricking so I can get women? And then the women, they mad. Am I leftovers? Am I the one with baggage and mental health issues and no man wants me, and I've been chronically single my whole life and no man is waiting around the corner to vet me to be a wife, and all I can be is a baby mama at best, maybe engaged, and I still mess that up and fuck it up? They get pressed. They get pressed. And no one even calls them out. They call themselves out. You know, and it happens in this chat. It happens in other live chat. I'm used to it. But my point to you is I don't think there's a standard you can have on one man. I take meat and potatoes out of certain groups that you named earlier with the men going their own way, the MGTOW. I don't believe in that whole monk mode shit because, like said or alluded to earlier, man, I love women too much to be a monk, you know, and just say I'm not gonna fuck with women and just. Now I'm all about men in their 20s and whatever, you know, certain ages, focus on themselves and their purpose. I'm all about that, you know, to be a better man and to be a leader. But there comes a time like. I love women too much, and I would never say I'm gonna be a monk and get them away from me. I can't stand them, this and this, because usually the problem's with the man. He has issues, you know what I mean, that he can't deal with or get these type of women that he can't attain. So the issues are on those men, and those men don't want to be accountable for their own shit. But I don't speak for them. I just take the meat and potatoes of some of the shit they talk about. But as far as red pill, I still think it saves a lot of men when you really practice the right things. You take the feelings out of it and you apply the logic and the facts and you look around and you say, damn, I see the way shit is. I see the way the cookie is crumbling. This shit does make sense. I do see how men act like this. I do see how women act like that. And the cookie crumbles, man. And most men don't want to accept it. They'd rather be beta male simps and white knights and panda bears. And, they'd rather do that because it's safe for them to do that. Those are the women that raised them. They got to protect how they were raised. So I get it.
Damn, Smooth, you don't care about the feet, bro. That's like my number one thing, bro. If she got jacked up feet, I don't care how else she look, she's a no-go.
Say it again.
Well, she better have nice feet. If she don't got nice feet, she ain't for me. If her second toe is bigger than her first toe, man, that's a red flag.
Man.
If she got cat feet, hell no. She got hobbit feet, no.
Lopez, you got two petty guys on here.
Yo. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is. There's got to be some psychology behind that. If she got jacked up feet, I don't know what it is.
Let me ask you.
All right, go ahead.
I was going to ask him, Harold, will you date a woman if she has bad feet?
Hell no. No, sir. Absolutely not. Listen, you can have perfect natural booty, perfect natural face, perfect natural boobs. If your feet jacked, That's whack. I am not. Goodbye. Sayonara.
Harold,
Sorry,
that's
bro.
your name, Mike. Let me ask you this. So I saw this comment by Corey Lemley, right? He says conservatives can only get submissive conservatives can only get submissive self-hating women. That's why they look for broken women. So when I hear that, let me ask you. So when I hear that statement, it sounds just like a feminist. It sounds just like a female feminist. It radiates feminine energy because it's just like the same women that will hate on women, conservative women or whatever, that embrace their femininity, are willing to be submissive to a man and cater to him and be his peace and not be his trauma and chaos. And they say something like that. But this is coming from a man. This is coming from a man, I guess a liberal man. And he's basically bashing women, conservative women per his language, that are willing to be submissive to their man that they choose to be, not slaves, that they choose to willingly. What do you think about a comment like that?
You talking to me?
Harold.
Yeah. Sometimes I conclude that they're just projecting their insecurities and flaws. You know, it goes to show, and this is why I harp on standard, because when you have no standard, you start to see men resort to being slaves to their woman, slaves to the pussy, and literally not even be able to maximize their full potential as a masculine man. And then what happens is this. Typically men like that are the submissive feminine in the relationship. They're the more emotional.
Yep.
And I'm not even trying to talk shit, bro. I mean, this is just a pattern that I have observed. Okay?
Exactly.
This is an observation. And then that woman will. And it's sad, bro. Like, it's really sad. Like, and you know, it's just like a pet, man. It's like a pet. The woman disrespects them frequently. The woman leads the house. I don't care what you say. There is a leader and a follower in all sexual dynamics and relationships. Yeah. You even see it in homosexuals. You even see it in lesbians. You see it in the whole LGBTQ. You can tell who the dominant one is and who the submissive one is immediately.
Yep.
And there's a correlation to that. And whenever I hear men that speak in this way in defense of women, you can tell that they are acting like a feminine woman. But it's like they don't even realize it.
And not just that, these are the men that come from the side, right? If they're from the left or liberal, what have you, that are supposed to be the tolerant, catering and pandering to women, right? They're the male feminists too, but yet look how they bash and demean and